G'day and welcome to Cuba Rio. I'm Matt Scollay, and what a week we have. We kick off this week up in Bariloche, which means I get to play my favourite music. The Swiss mountains, yeah. And Bariloche is the midpoint of what is the spine of Argentina, Ruta 40, which is this huge highway which extends from the northern tip up near Chalten, all the way down to the bottom in Ushuaia there, at the bottom of the world. And we're going to ride this baby all the way down to the amazing hiking mecca of El Chalten. But first of all, take it away, Bariloche. Bariloche is to Argentina what Queenstown is to New Zealand, except for the fact that it is all done in the Swiss Alpine style. It's absolutely amazing, the feel in this town, and it's in fact the schoolies location for all the Argentinian students when they finish secondary school. But what I was in Bariloche for was the magnificent hiking, and it took us to an amazing place called Cerro Lopez, which at the bottom of the hill there has this incredible ascent. You go all the way up to this pink hut about up the hill through this marvellous pine forest, which gives Bariloche that Queenstown feel, just the amount of pines in this area. And there had been a recent snowfall as well, and so it was just gorgeous views all around, crystalline blue sky. And when we got up to the refugio, we decided to actually summit Cerro Lopez, which is at some 2,200 metres or so, not very high at all, but there was tons of snow on the way up, which made the ascent absolutely unique of all the hikes in my trip so far. And it was just fun having snow fights on the way. Oi. And getting to the top there gave the most spectacular 360-degree view of the volcanoes of Chile to the east there, because Bariloche is right on the border there between Argentina and Chile. And when we were at the top there was an Andean condor in full flight, just soaring on the thermals around the mountain around us. It was absolutely spectacular. But heading down for the mountain was even better, because we had these huge patches of snow which we could do races on. Go. And at the bottom of the hill, we bumped into some elderly Tasmanians who have been to Bariloche many times. He introduced himself like this. Hi, I'm from Tasmania. This is our second time in Bariloche. You know what I've noticed about Bariloche? No Asians. Just casually reminding me that Australia is one eloquent racist away from our own Donald Trump. And the recommendation he gave was in his top 10 hikes, and I was not want to prove a racist correct, but he sent us to this amazing place called Frey, which had this gorgeous, gorgeous forest that is just an enchanting place to be in, all the way up the mountain until you get to the Frey hut, which has this spectacular view of what I could only describe as the Grinch's mountain lair. It's this sort of twisted mountaintop surrounded by similarly twisted mountains with snow around it, and this lake that Lewis and I took a dip in. It was absolutely fantastic, despite the recommendation from dubious source. Another day, another marvellous hike through spectacular beach forests here in Patagonia. But this time we are some 24 hours further south of Bariloche, and we find ourselves in the tiny town of El Chalten, which is a hiking mecca. And it's because of places like where I am now that it is the case, because I am some 9 kilometres away from El Chalten, which is nothing. That's an hour and a half's walk, and I am standing in front of this monster. It's the Glacier Grande, and it is absolutely gorgeous to look at. It's got those smears of dirt running all the way down from what I'm told is called the Patagonian ice field, which sounds fucking awesome place to be. And I must say, it evokes the same sort of reaction from me as the volcanoes earlier in the trip in Guatemala and the like did, because it is utterly stunning, and it just fills you with this whole sense of excitement, because you never know if anything's going to happen at all. I stood there standing for some 2 minutes, just waiting for some cracks and the like, and this is all I got. But still, it's absolutely spectacular, and I've been blessed by the weather. There's a few clouds around, but other than that, just perfectly blue skies, and like hundreds of other travellers to come up here with me. And I also completed a life goal today in that I jumped off an iceberg. I went for a swim in the massive Lake Torre, which is the sort of huge lake in front of this glacier. It's very indicative of the amount of melt that it's had, but it's got a couple of icebergs bordering the coast there, and I swam out to one and stood on top of it, which I've been wanting to do for years, and I thought I'd have to wait till Antarctica to do it, but nope, I've got it ticked off the list. But on the global warming front and all the ice melt and the like, I am standing now on the trim line overlooking the glacier, which is a very sad place to be, because the trim line is where the glacier used to be, and I'm standing some 70 meters or more above the level of the lake, and the glacier is well beneath me right now. It's probably about 3 stories high still in the distance there, but it's nowhere near the behemoth the Glacier Grande used to be. El Chalten's other draw card is a magnificent mountain, known by the indigenous people of this area as Chalten, which in their language means smoking mountain. And what it's actually referring to is Mount Fitzroy, this absolutely gorgeous, like sort of pink granite mountain that raises up above all the other mountains of El Chalten to 3,405 meters. It's an absolute behemoth, and it's named after the captain of the Beagle, which in 1834, him and Darwin actually came down to Patagonia and travelled up some of the rivers towards these glaciers here, and they didn't actually get to see the mountain that was named after him because of the cloud. But when I was here, the weather was spectacular, and we got the most brilliant view of this mountain as we were wandering through all the perfect forests that surround it. El Chalten is just a magical place for the forest. But this particular trip, I noticed all the trees looked like they had had sort of aliens burst out from inside of them, and it's because of these guys, Patagonia's famous red-headed woodpeckers, and they were busy destroying every fallen log in the place. It was an absolute nightmare. There's wood chips everywhere, sprayed over the moss and everything, but these guys were just having the best time finding their bugs under the bark. And the ascent to see a spectacular view is what's called Tres Lagunas up the top there. Was an absolute highway of tourists. There were so many people doing this particular hike on this day to make the most of the spectacular weather that we had. And at the top there, I bumped into a mate that I hadn't seen since Uruguay. And this is my mate called Julio, and at the top there we made instant plans to go on a hike together and do a stay out in a tent at another place the following day. And so off we went again, and I must have clocked up over 80 k's of hiking in this last week. It was amazing. Between Bariloche and El Chalten, I have not stopped, and my feet are really taking the pain. But this was a 15 to 18 kilometre hike to a place called Laguna Toro, and when we got there, we noticed one thing first. The wind was like nothing I had ever experienced in my life, and we went around this little rocky outcrop which was sort of protecting where the tents were, and there were gusts there that were hitting Laguna Toro, knocking up the spray, carrying it to hundreds of meters in the air, and it was falling down on our tent, so much so that we thought it was rain. This was the power of this wind, and when we were fighting against it, I've never had to walk at an angle against wind, but this wind was making me do this. It was so much fun. There were gusts that would blow you off the ridges as you approached the tiny wasted glacier that is above Laguna Toro there. But it was just incredible, and I had so much fun in this wind. We just listen to it. So we went back to our camp and instead made dinner. which was rice and lentils. Poor Julio's been eating an atrocious diet the last few days, so he added the lentils to add some protein to his mix. And we got back to the tent, and the wind was still howling around us. And when the wind sounds like waves and an earthquake crashing on the rocks above your tent, it is an impressive thing to listen to while you sleep. The next day, it had died down a little bit, and so we made our attempt at the tiny glacier above Laguna Toro, and we got quite a way towards it. However, Julio's poor diet over the last couple of days knocked the energy out of him, and so we ended up having to turn around. But it ended up being a spectacularly good idea, because yet again, by about 9 a.m. there, the wind had picked up again and was threatening to toss us off the rocks. And the previous day, in fact, the wind was so strong that it had picked up a rock off the ridge, tossed it into the air, and it came down on the face of one of the ladies in our camp, and she had this huge gash across her nose. She was in a really bad way. So we made the right decision by turning around that morning, heading back to camp, having breakfast, and then heading off. And that night we got back, we had pizza in the town, my first pizza in well over 3 months, because I just don't buy food. I've been making it my own the entire time. And I got on a bus that night to head back up Ruta 40 to meet the border with Chile, because Argentina for me is done for now. And this week I conducted one of my favourite interviews, just got on the same wavelength with my guest Julio this week, and we got into like so many little points that I absolutely loved in this interview. So have a listen and enjoy, because I enjoy the structure that this thing took on.
My name is Julio, and I am from Spain.
And so you've had one of the most interesting career paths of anyone that I've had on the podcast, Julio. So like, where did you start? What was your first job?
My first job was actually related with football or futsal. I was coaching kids when I was really young at school, but I just did it for a couple of years. My first job, where I started to make good money and actually have loads of fun, was DJing. I was playing like in big clubs in Spain and doing some festivals as well. I started doing that when I was 17, so I hadn't finished school yet. And then, I did it during all my uni years. I was pretty excited with it. There was a point where I didn't know if I actually wanted to finish my university or focus on my DJing career, but then I realized that nightlife and the clubbing scene is not like the healthiest one to grow up as a professional, and so I decided to keep on studying law and become a lawyer.
So did you have an awesome DJ name? Because we had a DJ at high school that sort of did blue light discos and things like you did as well, and he was called DJ Rickster, which is pretty sick. But did you have a DJ name?
So I didn't have one at the beginning, and so I decided just to go with my name, Julio Crespo. That's the one that I would use in all these clubs. You call them blue light. I was doing blue light a couple of times a week, and I was also DJing 3 nights a week, so I was doing like around 5 sessions a week. Obviously nighttime was more fun, but then when I became a lawyer, I started working. I just didn't want to mix my name into just a music scene and like more corporate or like I don't know, serious.
Yeah, keep the two lives.
So I changed it. I remember that I was booked for this big festival um, with really big names, and I thought that it would be a good idea to have like a more artistic name that and I'm just thinking about it, like I have a friend that was calling me Lionel Hutz all the time because I'm a lawyer and he's addicted to The Simpsons, and this guy is the lawyer of The Simpsons. So I was just like sorting that. I made it Leo Hutz, and that's how I got that nickname. I DJ'd a few more times under that name, and then I just jumped deeply into my legal career.
But how did your fans take the name change? Did you have a big Facebook page or something like that,
no,
so they could follow you around Madrid?
So the thing is that this is funny because I'm 30 right now, and I was doing this when I was 17, 18. So it's been more than 10 years. 10 years ago, Facebook wasn't the thing yet. YouTube wasn't the thing either. So I was just like recently going through my hard drive, like my old computer, and I was looking, and I had these amazing videos that were recorded with fucking Nokias, like super pixel, and I can see myself like DJing in front of all these kids, like 2000, 3000. It's just like, fuck, I wish Facebook was a thing at the time, or YouTube was a thing at the time, because it wasn't. And then when I turned into this Leo Hats thing, and YouTube was already a thing, it was just like probably 6 years ago or something. I thought like, look, this is a huge festival for me, and I need to document somehow what I've been doing for the last 6-7 years. So I remember I took my girlfriend at the time to the festival. We actually broke up like 1 week before the festival, but I took her with me anyway because I wanted her to document the whole thing. She took like amazing videos and photos of it, and I started to upload all this stuff in YouTube. I didn't want like my kids or my grandkids to don't believe my stories about playing in front of thousands of people.
DJ Grandpa was,
yeah. It's like now if you don't demonstrate what you do online these days, it's like people do not believe you. And it's the same thing with football. I've been playing football all my life to a very high level, and now I look back and say like, fuck, if I had like a camera at the time, as most of the kids do these days, everyone, like all the parents, they bring a camera to the game and they document like all the highlights, crazy thing, the goals that their kids are making and all the stuff, and they put it online, and then they just like, I don't have that, and I obviously have them in my memory because I've had a really good time playing football, but I cannot see it. So it's been just for the last couple of years that I was playing in England in futsal.
You struck an interesting subject with that documentation, because people won't believe it thing, because you are speaking to a podcast which is designed to document my trip.
Yeah.
But do you reckon we've reached a point where the documenting of the event is overtaking the actual enjoyment of the event itself?
It is, and it's a shame. Because I remember like at the time I was doing all those things, and I had like different circles of friends, like uni or school or like in the countryside, whatever, and many of them didn't know what I was doing at the time, because I was not interested in telling everyone, oh yeah, this is what I do at night, or this is like I play in these big clubs or whatever. So they didn't even know what I was doing. And
why are you always tired when you come to your legal job?
Yeah,
I'm nocturnal.
Yeah, I was
3 days of the week.
I was actually like living like two different lives. I was living like a very serious one where I was pretending to be a lawyer, wearing my suit and being like really smart, and I was not partying at all. And then I was having like the more like the crazier part that would come in the weekends. But yeah, I was separating that, and the good thing is that because it was not documented, it was in anywhere, and I wasn't a big fan of talking about it. Like people wouldn't know that you were doing that. Obviously, things have changed in a way that everything needs to be documented, and even if you're not documenting it yourself, there is always going to be someone that is going to be taking photos of it and posting things of that. So
just the other day when we were up at Mount Fitzroy, like it's the first thing people do. They get to the top of the hill, and instead of just taking a breath, they whip out the camera, and there's just like a row of cameras and selfie sticks and GoPros and whatever's. It's crazy. Just enjoy where you are, people. Jesus.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a unique sport, and you wanna have a memory of it. But my my concern these days is it because you wanna have a memory of that moment, or is it just because you wanna post it in your social media as soon as you go downtown and demonstrate and tell everyone that you've been there?
Yeah.
And I think we are all victims of that. I am a victim of that as well. I wasn't at the time, but now I think we all kind of post things, like document our stuff. But there are different ways of doing it. The way you're doing it as in a podcast is deeper. You're getting into people's life, and that's a different way of doing it. People that just take photos and selfies on big mountains just to say I've been here. It's quite depressing.
Yeah, looking for the appreciation of others is what it's all aimed at.
Yeah.
And so following on from your successful DJ career and your double life as a lawyer, you got into the renewable energy scene. So how did that happen?
That was totally by luck, and I'm super happy that I ended up working for that industry. But I didn't know what my profession had to be. I didn't have like a dream apart from football, but I knew that from football I was not going to be able to make a living. So I saw my father as a lawyer. He was happy, he was being successful, and I thought, okay, let's become a lawyer and follow his path, because I saw it was a good thing. So I became a lawyer. I studied law for 5 years. I did my master's in corporate law, and by that time I was already like doing kind of a scholarship for a multinational company that was focused on energy, but they had this branch doing renewable energy. This is 8 years ago, and I didn't know shit about climate change. I didn't know shit about how fucked up the planet it is, how much we're wasting our resources, and how bad we're consuming and all that stuff. I didn't know anything at all, and I was just like thinking, oh, this is a good thing, like renewable energy, I like it. So I was a lawyer. Basically we were developing wind farms. I was involved in the development of these wind farms, talking to the landlords, talking to the government. I was already like also we just buy and sell these assets, and I was involved in all those operations, and it was fun. But I wasn't paying attention to the industry that I was involved in. I was just like trying to push my lawyer career forward and become a good lawyer. Then I started to realize what I was involved in, and how important it was to actually work in an industry that is providing something good to the planet and not destroying it. So that made me happy. Even I was not happy about being in an office all the time. I was learning so much and I was discovering so much. You start making money as well. That I was just like, wow, this feels good. I'm doing something good for the environment, something good for my pocket, and also like I'm giving back that to those expectations that family and society and your surroundings have about you, which at the very back of my head was the main drive of what I was doing, and it took a while to realize that was my drive, you know. Expectations, expectations.
Other people's.
Yeah, because you grow up in an environment where everyone goes to school, then goes to uni, and it's a fucking competition, and you just want to do better than others, and you have your parents investing on you and taking you to good universities, making you travel in order to learn English, all that stuff. So you just have to, it's just an investment you have to return somehow. But the fact that I was involved in renewable energy, which is what you were asking me, was keeping me happy, because at the same time I was starting to discover how we live and how cities are developed, how nature is being destroyed constantly by human beings.
It is worth mentioning that we are about a kilometre away from a thoroughly wasted glacier right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we are.
It's not a happy glacier at all.
Yeah. So that's how I got into renewable energy. Then I I just got bored of being a lawyer. 5 years being a lawyer, I got bored of being in Spain, Madrid. So I decided to make a move, and I wanted to go abroad. I didn't care where, and I wanted to move out from law. I wanted to get more into business perspective. I wanted to, because I felt quite comfortable at negotiating things and
Yeah.
and playing with money, and then I thought let's move into a business
Well, before
role.
we move on to your life in London, how I'm fascinated with that, because this is something I've realised over this year, is how easily everyone else's expectations become your own expectations of yourself.
Yeah.
So when did you come to that sort of realisation?
So in Spain, like everyone is quite attached, like families and friends, and so we were just like constantly together, and everyone is looking at you, and everyone is talking about you, and it's just like a closed environment where you have many eyes like focus on you, and also like the fact again, like, my parents invested a lot in my career. It was just like a big thing on me. But and then you just lose perspective. You those expectations from other people become yours. Exactly, that's what you're saying, and you basically try to go one step ahead in order to just demonstrate that you're doing better than the others. No, and it was kind of that. It was like I had this job and I was being more successful than the ones that I had next to me in uni or at school. But then you have someone who's doing better than you, so you just look at them and you just want to get to their level, and it's just like just full competition. And then it takes time to realize that, and I didn't realize being in Spain about this thing, about others' expectations being my expectations. I realized later on when I got out of this bubble where everyone is just kind of looking at what you're doing, and like the fact that you're seeing your parents every day and they're just like following your career and asking you what's going on. It was when I moved out of that environment, which was Madrid. It's a small city, even it's a big city, but it's a small like community.
Yeah.
Like your friends, your family, everyone is in there. So it's, you just get into that loop and you don't look out of that loop. Like the example of traveling or doing what we're doing right now, traveling the world without having a job, is not something that was even considered back home. I've never seen anyone in my environment doing that, so I didn't know about it. Even I always had the dream by watching all these movies of people that just like get out of their bubbles and get into nature and all that stuff. That was an inspiration, but I saw it more of like a dream than actual a reality.
Yeah.
So I think there was a step in between, which was living home. Although I was living by myself already in Madrid, but when I say living home, I say living my own city, living my friends, my family, and go somewhere else where I am on my own, where I'm totally anonymous, where no one is looking at you, where you can do whatever you want without people talking about you the day after because they've seen you doing this, doing that, whatever. And that move has this thing that I've told you, like becoming anonymous, doing whatever you want without not giving a shit about what other people is thinking, and also discovering a whole new world of nationalities and experiences. Like I started meeting people from other countries that I didn't have the chance to meet back home, because in Spain everyone is from Spain, and in Spain everyone stays in Spain unless there is a big need of looking for a job, which was not my need. I
wasn't the case back then, but
it
possibly
was,
is
yeah.
now.
I mean, when I was in Spain, the crisis was starting to hit, but I had my job and it was quite secure, so I could have easily stayed there, keep doing what I was doing, and have easy chill life, like stay with like my friends, girlfriend, whatever I had at the time. But I was just looking for something new.
It is crazy to think that crisis is nearly 10 years ago. September next year will be 10 years since that all started. Which is fucking ridiculous. It seems like...
If you want, we can jump into that, because I have another theory about it. But
Go for it.
I think we're not in... Like, they like to call it crisis, but we're not going to recover from it. It's just like a new reality. It's just like... It's like a system that is collapsing, which is... another reason why I've decided to step out of that bubble that I was talking about, or the business corporate bubble and first world, where money is everything. Like it doesn't, like, we're coming to a point where people want more, and resources we're running out of them somehow. So there is less for more people, and that's increasing inequality somehow, and that is breaking up societies, and that's obviously forcing situations that we call crisis. But it's actually, we're just like, and it's gonna keep happening, and we're not. I don't see us coming back to a time where everyone is gonna make shitloads of money again and be super happy again. Like you have examples, like we're talking about Brexit or about Trump, or all these people trying to retain what they have already, because worse times are coming.
Well, not even retain what they have already, but aspire to something they had 50 years ago, or something like that. Brexit had undertones of achieving the old imperial glory of Great Britain, and it's like, make America great again, says it all in that one fucking slogan.
You don't need, exactly. So is it a crisis, or is it just like is it the new way we're meant to live?
I think it's comparable with extinction events, where like something hits and a lot of people fall off the bandwagon and only the fittest survive. But it's more sinister than that, in that the fittest find more ways to survive every time an extinction event hits. And they're coming faster every like 15, 30 years, and more people. I mean, on the last one, like a hell of a lot of white people fell off the US bandwagon, and that's why you've got so much rage in the States right now.
I mean, we're going towards extinction somehow. The way we're treating the planet, it's not that we're destroying the planet, it's that we're fucking up the conditions under which the human being is able to live comfortable. And the way we're fucking it up is by extracting all these resources and the way we consume, etc. So that's having a consequence, and that consequence, even it's so far away in time, it takes us to extinction somehow. So people just want to keep living at that level of comfort and
well, I think it's interesting, because we were talking about this yesterday, where I've said I've noticed so many of your sort of generation, the 30 pluses born in the 80s and whatever, where they have had everything. Their families helped them get a university career, and then like they found a career and they developed that career. But a lot of them, especially the ones that are traveling around South America for a long time, reached a point of disenfranchisement with that system, where it just sort of spins you around. You earn a little bit more every year. There's enough carrots along the way to keep you going. But then something about you guys is making you all sort of jump out of that system and go, what are we doing this for? Let's go study permaculture in Guatemala. Let's go just like lose ourselves for a year.
I think it's an awakening. I think you just basically have to wake up. They are educating us as totally. They're making us stupid. They're not showing us reality.
Well, it's not so much stupidity as making you fit a role within an economic scheme, like.
But it's like, fit a role doing something that you love, or fit a role that just fits the system.
The latter.
Is that what makes you happy, I don't think so. I mean, there is people that luckily is doing that. They love being accountants. They love being I don't know, like lawyers, whatever. They love that. That's awesome. But have they? Um, um, I think the reason why these people is stepping out of the system is just. I think it's just a wake up call. Like these days, you have access to more information. These days, you can again make some research and realize how the world works and how corrupted it is, and if you have a bit of ethics, you just don't feel comfortable in that environment. I'm not saying I'm gonna live like this forever.
No, but before you say live like this, give us an idea of what your response to that system is. How are you approaching your year, or however long you travel away? What are you planning on doing? So
the way I'm approaching this is, first of all, I want to live with very little. I just have a backpack. I have a tent, a sleeping bag, and way less clothes than I had when I started this. I realized I didn't need them. I realized I didn't even need my hiking shoes because I had also hiking boots. So I just decided to give them away. But I'm just making my backpack lighter and lighter so I can fit more food in there, because actually that's the only thing I need. So my approach is simple. Try to live with very little and travel like for as long as I can, and like get in contact with nature as much as possible, because I've been a city boy for 30 years and I think this is the essence. This is where we come from. This is the roots. And I think I'm in debt with nature somehow. My carbon footprint living in cities for 30 years is massive, and I just like, so I want to go back to basics somehow, and that's super challenging for me because I haven't spent more than a week in nature by myself. I'm still learning how to do it. Like, I'm not feeding myself properly, for example. I'm just learning all
notes on a diet.
Yeah. So I'm just learning all these things. Also, I'm obviously I picked Latin America for obvious reasons. I'm from Spain. We speak the same language, and I think people here is awesome. So in order to get more in contact with them, I'm also hitchhiking all the way. I go to Patagonia, where we are right now, at Parque Nacional Los Glaciares hitchhiking, which I feel really proud of. And I've slept in gas stations. I've slept in lakes. I actually can sleep anywhere. I can travel anywhere. I need a shower from time to time. Obviously, I can't wait to get back downtown today after 6 days up the woods and glaciers and things to have a good shower, because the water is fucking cold in this lake. To have a proper bath. Yeah, what we were talking about.
Well,
about the trip. Yeah, the trip. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I have no return ticket. And I have obviously saved up some money through these years that I've been working, just in case I need it. But I'm actually traveling on a very low budget, so I'm not even touching those savings, which I wanna discover also in this trip what I wanna do next. I wanna learn how to live sustainably without having to be in a city. I would like to learn more about permaculture. I want to get into farming. I want to learn all these basic things that took us where we are these days, human being, and without having to rely on others. Instead of being in an office, like making money all the time and then just going to shops and buying everything without even knowing where it comes from. I want to be able to make it with my own hands. I want to see where it comes from. I want to go up the glacier and see where the water that we're drinking is coming from, which is just like crazy. What you were mentioning yesterday, was it in Bolivia that people is just running out of water because
the glaciers above Lopez and El Alto, where some 4 million people live, no longer supplying enough water for Bolivia, and they're in a state of emergency as of last week because those glaciers are that wasted. And they're glaciers that are above 3,000 meters. That we're like only at 900 here, and the air temperatures here is toasty warm during the day.
That's crazy, but unless you come here and see what's happening with this glacier, or I mean, you can see it in documentaries, whatever.
You don't have to see it in documentaries. The thing about coming here is you see it in the freaking rock around you. You can see that, like, where you're standing, there used to be several meters of ice above you that has scratched this fucking igneous rock beneath your feet. And still that tiny little ice cube that's up on the hill that's slowly dripping into this river did that some X number of years ago. It's like the destruction is there to be seen here, but you just have to take the time to pause and recognize that it is happening.
If you don't see it with your own eyes, if you don't feel it, if you don't touch those rocks, like, you're not gonna realize how big the problem is, I guess, and also how beautiful, like, the surroundings are. This is just amazing.
El Chalten has been amazing. So before we wrap it up, I want to get just a taste of that amazing lifestyle you had in London on I think what can be termed the Wolf of Wynn Street or Solar Street.
London was fucking fun.
How many years were you there?
So I've spent 3 years in London. First year was a bit of adapting to it. I went on my own. I didn't have many friends. And first thing I made friends with Australian people, British people, Kiwis. Those are like the main. I didn't want to get involved with Spanish people because that was gonna be like coming back to what I had already. So I wanted to discover more and learn about other cultures and the way you guys, for example, travel around the world, which is what made me actually realize that it was not just a dream, but it's also a reality. The fact that you can just quit your job and get out there and travel. But yeah, London was basically, I was working in the city where like all the money is, and government decided to put a lot of money into renewable energy. So I went there and we started to do solar farms all around the country. It's funny, but we do solar farms in the UK, although it's not a very sunny spot in the world, but it works. And we were just doing fucking loads of them, and it was just like happy days because you basically secure the money to build them, and then sometimes you just sell them, or you just like you're just playing with millions and
playing with millions. And what a phrase!
And you're not seeing them at all because they only go to certain pockets. But you enjoy a bit of that you become like it's just like it's fun because you just keep closing deals and you just keep celebrating it and this is party all the time.
So what, for example, what would happen if you closed a big deal? How would the office react?
So, like, the problem is that at the beginning it was tough to close big deals, but then it became like a wheel where we were like so
it gathered
powerful.
Its own momentum.
Yeah, that we were closing so many of them. So like we were like throwing big parties like every quarter, and we would just have like I don't know, to give you an example, we would just have like they organized like a real music festival in the middle of the countryside with big stage, like big buses taking the whole employees to this festival with tippy tents, like free drinks, like free food, like you would have like music bands, DJs. Everything you see in a music festival, it was just for us, like for the employees. And obviously, like everything comes for free, and you just like having the time of your life because all the people. So
this is not a small business. You said it was like the biggest solar something in Europe?
Yeah. It was like a top company in the world right now in renewable energy, and number one in Europe. It's been really good time, and I think you were asking me yesterday how the fact do you step out of that, because it's tough. It was when you're having so much fun, like make the decision of coming out of that is not easy. But I think these things are not sustainable, and you want to have you want to do other things. So just 1 year ago, no, a couple of years ago, I started thinking about this trip, but I needed to feel that it was the right time to do it. I knew it was coming, but I needed to feel that the right time was coming, and I was in the middle of the season as well, like playing in my futsal team.
Oh, that's right, because you're also a semi-professional futsal player.
Yeah.
Throughout all of this.
Yeah. That was actually that.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that you're also in football as well.
This is what was keeping me balanced, because London lifestyle is not very healthy and it's quite intense. So if you get into that loop, it's difficult to get out. So because I've played futsal all my life, which is indoor football, five-a-side, for those who don't know. I was playing in the first division of England. I was just traveling in the weekends to play all around the country. I was training 3 times a week, and we were quite successful. First year I got into the team. We made it to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and to the playoffs of the Super League. And then
are these televised matches now? Is futsal growing like it is down here in South America?
In the UK, the problem is that they are not. You always need some financial backup from the federation, and they are not doing enough. They are recording or televising the finals, which we achieved this year. The final of the FA Cup, we lost against Oxford, and the semi-finals of the Super League, that was also filmed. But you have to like get to the very end of the season in order to see that in the papers or in the media.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my balance, basically, to keep it healthy, and because I love sports and I like to be fit, so it's not sustainable, like the partying time in London without doing a bit of workout.
I'm wondering how you sustain such intense focus on like just a few things at a time, like whether it is DJing or being a lawyer or crushing renewable energy deals. How do you maintain that drive?
I think once you decide to invest your time in something, you need to commit to it, and that's what I've done with all these things. Including
how you're traveling now.
Yeah, I want to go deep into it. I didn't come to South America to pay for airplane tickets or bus tickets or to go to restaurants or to stay like in hostels all the time. If I come here, I wanna travel in a deep and intense way, which is like suffering and meeting like authentic people, locals, but also other travelers like you. Like, how many people have we seen in this hike? It was empty, like
about 7. Yeah.
And then you like, so this is not touristic. You're not getting to proper adventures. So the same thing with the other things. Like, if I like something, I want to get into it. And the problem is that because I like so many things, I won't become a master of any of them. I don't consider myself the best DJ in the world. I don't consider myself the best lawyer at all, like, or businessman.
Or football player.
I think at football, that would be like the only thing I can say.
Got close there.
I'm really good at, and that's just because if I'm 30 years old now, I've been playing it for, I don't know, 25 26, 27. So I've been doing that all the time. I was just not doing anything else apart from just playing football. So, and I think you need to invest your time in the things that you make a decision, and go as far as you can with them, and I won't become the master of any of these things, but at the same time I think I'm gathering experiences that if you put them all together, that I don't know, I feel quite satisfied, and you never know what's gonna happen in the future. I might get back to football, why not? I don't see myself getting back to DJing. I don't see I
sold my decks, man.
Yeah, I sold them to buy a guitar that I don't know how to play properly. That's really bad.
You need to dedicate more time to guitar.
Yeah, I'm bad at it anyway. I just make a lot of noise. But yeah,
well, that makes me very happy to know that you haven't quite mastered everything you put your mind to. The fact that you're just strumming away on guitar, not knowing how to play chords, that leaves some hope for the rest of us.
Yeah. I like to sing, and that's why I say fuck, if I have a band, I cannot be just a singer. So I need to play an instrument in order to make it look cooler. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna learn to play guitar, and then I ended up playing the bass. But yeah.
Oh, I'm so keen to see what you discover to throw all your efforts behind on this trip, man. And thanks so much for coming on the podcast and giving us an idea of everything that you've done.
Sweet.
It's great. Alrighty, thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Mar. It's been great experience.
And that's it for another week. Next week, we kick off in Chile, following Chile's own magnificent highway, the Carretera Austral, all the way up Chilean Patagonia. It is spectacular. I'm experiencing it right now. It's amazing. So if you like the podcast, make sure you check out the Facebook page, as that's where all these photos of our glaciers and forests are going up. And if you're enjoying listening to it and the like, make sure you leave a review on iTunes, as that helps us out quite a bit. So looking forward to catching you next week for yet another fantastic week of traveling here in South America. Catch you then.